Hello and welcome to Presence. Have you ever just been in a place where you've questioned love? Maybe you haven't loved yourself enough, or you're frustrated and you don't love your work. On today's show, we are celebrating love in all forms. And we're doing a power show today. We're going to talk a little bit about the various types of love and invite you to step into loving yourself more so that you can celebrate where love shows up in your life, whether that's in a traditional relationship, in your work relationship, in your relationship to money or things or items. Because in North America especially, we have a pretty limited definition of love, and we want to expand that so we can have more love in our experience. My name is Holly Duckworth, and I am thrilled to be talking about this topic with my co-host, Ravi Tangri. Hello, love. How are you?
Howdy do, Holly. I'm excited. This whole month, we're going to be exploring the concept of love. And as you said, this power show, we're just diving into what are the different types of love. In our deep dive show for our Insiders Club, we're going to go even deeper in terms of how do you actually find what is working for you and what can work for you in terms of moving forward. Now, in prepping this show, I found it really interesting. You brought to my attention this article by Neil Burton in Psychology Today. It was posted on June 25th, 2016. And he talks about the 7 types of love. And the interesting thing he says is that what most people think of when they think of love, the romantic love, the stuff all the Hollywood is built around, and all the Harlequin romances and all this sort of stuff, it's actually pretty recent, and it's a modern construct. He's traced it back to a novel back in 1856. So it's only about 150 years old. We think it's eternal and it's the way it is, but that's not the way it is. It's always been. I mean, it's a new construct. And he outlines 7 different types of love, and one of them is probably what was more common then, because there were more, before that time, 150 years ago, there were more arranged marriages and such. So he talks about, in his number 6 is what he calls pragma, which is a practical love based on reason or duty, because that a lot of times there were arranged marriages, so you needed to fulfill the duty, and that was probably more common in a romantic relationship. There's others that people are more familiar with. Storge, which is familial love, that's with family. And I mean, there's even within family, you can see differences. Like with my son, my stepson, there's things, emotions that I have that are different than I have with my parents. I mean, they're all phenomenally deep. I would do anything for any of them. But there are refinements in all of those, right? And but still, it's like you would, when you're connected in that way, it's like you would do anything for them, right? That's needed. But I found this most interesting, that what most people focus on actually didn't exist as a concept until just over 150 years ago.
Well, the show, I mean, this month, February, the whole planet's going to be about love and cards and boxes of chocolates and going to restaurants. And we always like to sort of take just one little step off of the traditional consciousness in the show to invite you to a new level of presence and how you're going to live your life from love and how you're going to lead from love. So we wanted you to think about, in this power show, what are your expectations of love?
Mm-hmm.
And how can you expand it to be loving more than one person? Maybe it's loving a place, or loving an experience, or loving the way energy flows into your life or into your business or into your work, so that you can become a person who leads with love. And I think when Ravi and I come in to work with a group, or we're hanging out with our friends, that one thing people tell me all the time is, Holly, you're such a loving person. Well, I would love to say part of that's natural, and I think part of it is, but it's also my daily practice of loving myself, loving the experience that I get to create. I think we came to this planet to create, while it sounds a little frou-frou-y, heaven on earth. How am I going to create that joy-filled, loving expectancy that everything that comes into my life is love? And certainly I come into people all the time that maybe maybe aren't love. But Course in Miracles, another great resource, says, how can I see this through the eyes of love?
Right. It says that everything either is an extension of love or a call for love. Every action, everything anyone does. And I think what's key is what you said about the definition is we use the term love loosely. You know, I love so-and-so. I love my job. But we don't concretize what it means, and we assume we know what it means, and the other persons involved may not have the same definition. So I think, you know, this gets into the tips, is I think it's really important to start to say, okay, what's my definition of love in this situation, and what are my expectations, and to start communicating about that. Because even the definition of romantic love, if you will, has shifted significantly in recent times, because now you've got same-gender marriages are legal. You've also got the challenge that's grown the last few decades of single parents with families dating, and that creates whole new challenges and complications and multiple relationship issues, not just the one relationship between the two people. So it changes what that means in terms of what we expect of each other. So you know, that I think that's the really big tip, is what is your definition? And we're going to dive much more into this in the deep dive show for those in the Insiders Club. Anything quickly to wrap things up, Holly?
I would just say, you know, take this word love that sometimes is a little taboo topic, and bring it out of the darkness and put it on the light, and be willing to look at it in a lot of ways and have these conversations with your friends and your families so that you can be more loving to yourself and the world.
Great. And we will see you on the Deep Dive show for our Insiders Club, and see you guys next week as we get in the Power Show, as we get into with Valentine's Day, this whole issue of how do you actually attract the love you truly want, or bring it alive more in the relationship you're in. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.